things women just don't understand. They're stickage. Stickage is for real. Stickage is a real fucking deal.
You know what we used to call it?
What's that?
Bat winging.
Yeah. It just happens, and you got to fix it, and there's, you just got to grab at it. And,
Just gotta do what you gotta do.
Put it where it needs to be and get it straight, and then you'll be fine. And also, as a gentleman of larger carriage, there's some weight issues as well. You got to watch out with that. You could pinch something. That might hurt a lot.
Fucking hell.
Let's start the show.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston?
Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Snub of a lord. Looks great in shorts. Sam Grammy.
Sam Graham.
Fucking United! Fucking United!
It's like a giant missile silo floating through the air there at the very end with two very disappointed eyes.
It's your birthday today.
It is her birthday today. Hello and welcome to DU Does EFL Show, a completely biased, brief recap of the English Football League as told by two common American schmucks. I'm your host, Sam Houston. Across the way from me, knee deep in his phone, trying to catch up on what he's going to fucking say for this, my co-host, Mr. Samuel Graham.
Hey, guys. I'm just trying to figure out where this... Oh, they put ads into ESPN now.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so I didn't even see the game we're going to lead off with listed.
So
I was
why
like,
did-
when did this happen?
So why do you give $5.99 for them to put ads and everything, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Fucking absurd.
Right.
Like, Disney doesn't have enough money already.
And producer Mel on the ones and twos. How you doing there, producer Mel?
I'm good. We're just doing live production here, aren't we?
Yeah, pretty
Why the
much.
fuck not?
Yeah.
I do have my lovely sound cue to press when you're ready to actually talk about the fallen teams.
Oh, you mean that one?
Championship Corner!
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Oh no!
Leeds edition. It's like,
We're recording at the DU Public House just outside the nation's capital. You can find us wherever you get your podcast and watch us live every Monday night, like right fucking now. Should you want to chat with us, there is many ways that you can. Mr. Graham, tell the good people how they can get in touch.
absolutely. It's at DU Football Show on all the social medias and dufootballshow@gmail.com to get in touch via it.
You know why I did that, producer Mel, right?
Why?
Because you specifically did not look at the sheet, so I decided to fuck with you and make your production sound all out of place.
I'm fine with that.
It's a good sounder, though. We can't not use it.
Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirit industry and both have a deep, passionate love for everything.
Stop. We're drinking the same fucking thing again. It's the same night. We just
Yes.
ended the other show 10 minutes ago.
Had all the beers from Middle James Brewing. I'm also drinking an ice house as always. Big old deuce.
I got a Pacifico on the side. It's my side piece.
No, we got nothing to talk about then on injury time.
My side piece right there.
Well, you need to chase your beer with beer, right? I mean, that's
That's
just
right.
kind of how it works. All right, well then, fuck it. Let's get right into it. Starting off with the championship. If you want to hit that cue again, go right ahead, Mel.
Championship Corner!
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Oh no! By the way, I'm looking at your notes. I know we're in here. Does it say any sound cue? So
No.
I'm fine.
No, you're the one who decided to add the sound cue,
Yeah.
and you just wanted to add it. And but since you weren't paying attention to the format of the show, I just went and said, go ahead and hit it. And a good producer would have been like, well, no, you still haven't done call to action or talk about alcohol yet. So
Have you done both of those things?
Championship Corner!
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Oh no!
That is a proverbial dick slap to the face.
see, now here's the problem is I'd like to hate it, right? I'd like to be very angry at her. But I love the sweet falsetto tones of one Mr. Whiskey Dick, so I can't get mad at her too much, and we're all going to have to just make sure it gets played when we first talk about the championship. Jumping right off the bat, Southampton and Norwich have a barn, or how do you pronounce it, Mel?
Notch.
Very good. I believe Brent did the same in his getting to know you segment. So
He did.
I like
He
that.
absolutely did.
Paying attention to what we do. A barn burning 4-4 draw.
Let me tell you something. This was end-to-end fucking action the entire game as well. You started off with the first goal from American Josh Sargent in the 7th minute, and you got the final goal from Adam Armstrong in the 90th +7.
Mm-hmm.
So there was action all the way peppered throughout. You had Jan Benderek on 17. Adam Armstrong first scored on 21. Gabriel Sara scored on 23. You had one in stoppage time from Norwich from John Rowe of the first half. Then just 12 minutes, you had to wait for Che Adams to score into the second. And then the 84th minute, Norwich went 4-3 up. And then Adam Armstrong, as I said before, in stoppage time, late into stoppage time, with the equalizer.
Also,
it's fucking crazy.
Also, a farewell to James Ward-Prowse for Southampton.
My
He's
heart
moved
broke
on
for Kenny.
to Southampton.
You know that?
I moved on to West Ham.
My heart broke for Kenny.
Mm-hmm.
He put up a picture of James Ward-Prowse as a young boy, probably about somewhere between 8 and 10 years old, in his Southampton academy uniform. And then a picture from obviously last week or maybe end of last season, one of the two. And he said, "Don't cry because it's gone." The caption that he wrote was, "Don't cry because it's gone. Smile because it happened." And it's just like, oh God, when a club loses their best player, their captain, and it's just like how much he meant to those supporters, almost single-handedly keeping Southampton in the league the year prior.
I mean,
to
Graham,
them going down
imagine
last season.
if Daryl Green had gone and played for the Cowboys.
I mean, it wouldn't have been that bad. It's not like he went to Pompey.
Right, but still, it's a kick.
Despite, I think, being from Portsmouth, maybe.
Yeah, but it's just he's a lifelong. He's a lifer. He's been there forever. Yeah. It's
been there his entire career, from youth on upward. And but yeah, it's. I mean, even if Daryl Green went to go play for like the Buccaneers, I'd have been pissed. Like it would have just hurt. It just would have hurt my soul.
It's just like, no, you've always been here.
Oh,
you're from here. Like you're a boy, man. You're my boy, Blue. Like it
was just sad, and I just felt so bad that he had to go through that.
Now I know Smokey lives in his world of everything's doom and gloom, but I actually think it's a perfect fit for them, for West Ham to get Ward-Prowse. They
need it. Yeah, absolutely.
I really do. And people want to talk about his defending ability. I think he defends perfectly fine. You know, I mean, he's not a defensive midfielder. He's a box to box guy who takes all the fucking free kicks, and also, by the way, happens to be the best in the business ever of fucking doing it.
Yep.
Like statistically,
he is
he's
a player
the
that
fucking
deserves.
best.
He also is a player that deserves to be in the Premier League.
Yeah, and he deserves to play in Europe, and that's what West Ham is doing. So it's what
Southampton
he fucking deserves.
themselves have been shit at manager selection, and timing of signings and timing of letting people go, and like he's just had to put up with a lot of shit, and he was the steady Eddie. I worry for them a bit moving forward as a result of that. I don't think they'll go down to League One.
No, I
there
think
are
they'll
a
be
few
all right.
championship teams that are absolute dog shit. But I don't know that they'll come straight back up now.
Speaking of dog shit, Leeds lost.
I know.
Jesus.
And Jack Harrison is apparently
Going to Everton
on his way out.
It's official. He's on a season-long loan at Everton.
It's official now.
Happened this afternoon.
Arguably their best player that's still there. And very influential and emotional leader as well. So not off to a great start for Leeds, but same kind of boat as Southampton in terms of their managerial hirings and firings.
Oh, you also have
Since
to figure
Bielsa, it hasn't been particularly good.
You also have to figure they're going to lose Tyler Adams after the whole debacle of potentially going to Chelsea and all that weirdness.
Oh, damn it. You know what? I think Tyler Adams, I don't know if Klopp rates him, but like it would have been cool if one of the two clubs, I forgot to say this on the main show, it would have been cool if if Chelsea and Liverpool publicly came out and said, whoever loses this game gets Tyler Adams, whoever wins this game gets Moises Caicedo. And then much like the Arsenal-Manchester United preseason game, because it finished in a draw, we should just go ahead and have penalties to see who gets to sign who.
Right, just to determine it.
God damn it. But
if they miss both of those players, there's a lot wrong.
Oh yeah, big time.
Oh, there's going to be a lot wrong in Leeds, and I thought Leeds was going to I was fancying them to figure out a way to get right the back up. I mean, I know we got to wait till September, but this is not a good start.
This coaching carousel's not great that they've had in the last 60 days essentially of not actual calendar days, but in terms of the footballing calendar. If season ends week, whatever, and then following week you class is the start of the season. This managerial merry-go-round that they had in those last 6-8 weeks of the Premier League, it just doesn't bode well, and I can see why people maybe not want to join them. So I'm not quite sure.
Not a good start
for them. I don't think they'll go down. They still have some decent pieces, but it's not a good start.
And Birmingham City's not in a good way either. No, just not a good start. Now, who's off to a great start, and this is not going to please the other half of the Old Farm, is Norwich, is Ipswich, 2-0 and a League Cup fucking victory.
Yeah.
Ipswich on fucking fire, and they were down in League One.
They are off to a fucking barn burner of a start. Almost as good as my gambling heater this weekend.
Yeah.
Also, by the way, Sunday night's poker night. I was sitting there bullshitting. It was just me, Dave, and his cousin Brian on the Zoom talking shit. And Brian we were talking about horse racing. And I was like, oh, I got FanDuel TV on the old YouTube TV. Let me turn that on. There's usually some nightcaps. $150 on that.
You just on fire on the
I'm on a
betting.
heater. I almost went to the casino last night. I was like, fuck it, let's ride the wave.
How did the poker night go?
Oh, no, I got my ass kicked.
There you go.
That was not great.
There's some balance in the universe.
Yeah, I think I finished in 7th or something, and we only had 10. I think I was 3rd or 4th out. Yeah, 3rd or 4th out. Wasn't great.
So a couple other notable ones is Sunderland Wednesday, Sheffield Wednesday, Huddersfield, and Middlesbrough all start the season with their second loss, and Middlesbrough finds themselves at the bottom of the fucking table.
Middlesbrough were ones that came into the season having a decent kind of expectation.
People were fancying them to flat out win the championship, and that's not a good start.
This has not gone to plan so far, and I'm very surprised. I think the Warlock may just want to finally retire, so he's doing everything he can to just get canned.
Well, Huddersfield
he can't physically bring himself to walk away.
Huddersfield, we expected them to start off poorly, because they finished not so great. I mean, they
also didn't have the easiest opening couple fixtures either. I mean, this is a Premier League team in Leicester that they lost 1-0 to. So by all accounts, I mean, they had to have given at least a decent account of themselves. They had 31% of the ball. They did have 13 shots though, 3 on target. I mean, they you'd like to see it be a little bit.
But then you say
more
Huddersfield, people were high on Wednesday for the way they got promoted.
Was it 420 or something?
I'm sorry.
On Wednesday?
Yes, exactly. The way they got promoted, and you thought that I get what you're doing.
It's a calendar joke.
Yes, exactly. They
I'll
were
literally make a joke about anything.
They were very hyped to win, and so far Plymouth Argyle looking really good as a promoted side. Them not so much. And then couple that with Sunderland was a team who got themselves into the playoff right at the end of the season, and I think people are starting to fancy that Sunderland might be finally ready to do that Leeds, and while going all the way down to League One, figuring it out, and finally getting back to the Prem, because they have a mammoth stadium. Like, they have the kind of grounds that is meant to be in the Prem.
They used to share responsibility with Old Trafford for FA Cup semifinals while was being rebuilt. While Wembley was being rebuilt.
Yeah.
Now, the final would always take place at the Millennium Stadium in Cardiff.
Right.
But Old Trafford, Villa Park hosted a few, another good proper stadium. But the Stadium of Light hosted a few of those, hosted England games as well when England didn't have a home because of Wembley being rebuilt. It's a massive, massive stadium.
Yeah, yeah. And the other thing
I like that we don't have a national stadium.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
I liked the period of time when, I mean, I never went, of course, because I don't care that much. I care obviously well more about my club. But I kind of thought it was cool, and I've heard English people say this, that it was kind of cool that the England team toured around.
Right. And didn't just play at
Wembley. So even though,
like,
if you're an England fan and you live in Newcastle, right, if you care enough, and you wanted to go down for a game, yes, it's about a 4-hour train journey. So not the end of the world. However, it's still a long old slog if you're trying to do it in a day.
Yeah.
And
it's an expense.
well, now, obviously, for, in that same instance, the same example, the Stadium of Light, it'd be kind of sucks because that's your most bitter rival. You'd have to go watch in their stadium. But it's a 35-minute drive.
Right.
Nothing.
It's not that hard.
2 train stops away.
Yeah.
Easy. And I think it reconnected a lot of people, especially in the outskirts of the country where, Scout's not English in terms of the Liverpool people. It kind of reconnected the England team with parts of the country that don't feel very English. And so I think that's one thing that the U.S. holds is that our national team tours around constantly. And it's lovely, but that was a whole side point. I'm sorry, but
no worries. Let's go ahead and move.
yeah, Sunderland is hugely disappointing start to the season because of exactly that. They were in the playoffs. They, that people had high hopes, and that's
Dead Man Middlesbrough. Like these are 2 teams that we're expecting to potentially win the fucking league.
Yeah.
And not a good start.
0 for 2 is not a good way to be.
Moving on
According
to
to Pat, though, it's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on to League One, the funniest story of all, because just Ben can't have anything nice out there in Aki, is Wigan are 2-0. They have 2 wins. Problem is, 8-point deduction. They're bottom of the table at -2 points.
No shit.
The most Wigan thing ever.
It's ridiculous. It is.
Good, but here's the good news for them. You're getting that point deduction out of the way right quick. You start off fucking hot.
yeah,
That's
and
a good thing, because that could also, if you had started 0-2, and you're suddenly really
You're back against the wall. And
14 points behind everyone.
Exactly.
Like, so good for them in that regards. It's a funny nod to look at. And at some point, Wigan has to figure out how they're going to live in a world where they are probably a really good League One side and a very bad championship side. They're going to be that proverbial
for a long time
yo-yo team, and not
between those 2
overspend,
leagues,
and not overspend.
But that's the big thing.
Historically, fuck up and overspend.
That's the big thing with the owners is they have to not throw everything at making the Premier League. They have to just kind of be okay until they're an established championship side again. They cannot do that, or they will find themselves foul of financial fair play regulations, another point deduction, and potentially going down. And sad to say, when that starts to happen and those owners, those rich people start to fucking spiral, usually ends up with 115-year institution being fucking liquidated, which you don't want to see that, obviously.
Almost happened to one of the original 12 teams of the fucking Premier League, and we're going to move on to them right now. Bolton get their 2nd win of the season, find themselves top of the table, and we're going to talk about Pompey next, of course, who is our heart team. This is also our heart team. I would love to see Bolton run away with this fucking title, be first place, and just run away with it.
Remember them in their brilliant white, kind of Real Madrid looking uniforms, but in the Premier League at the Reebok Stadium. And I was like, that's a fucking niche brand to have the naming rights to a top flight stadium back in the day.
Exactly.
Better Bolton, obviously known as the Wanderers. I used to call them the Princesses because the Reebok Princess was the most popular shoe in my time, kind of growing up.
Yep.
For the ladies. But and just a weird draw of players. Like JJ fucking Okocha played there.
Yeah.
He was a Manchester United legend. Just an amazing fucking player. Alex Iwobi's uncle.
Yep.
Just amazing. Like, how did they get some of these people? It was fucking wild.
Gary Cahill, before he won titles
Chelsea,
won he was
Bolton center back.
And then you Stuart Holden, who was fucking
before they broke his leg, was
yeah.
fucking awesome. And you see Jaskalainen, one of my intro to kind of Scandinavian goalkeeping, which would play, or at least Northern European, because it kind of put those players on the map for me, because I was too young for Peter Shilton. I hadn't really found football, European football especially, by the time he had retired. But just Wojciech Szczesny from Poland and Lucas Fabianski from Poland and all the German keepers. So these kind of Northern and Central European goalkeepers, like you see Jääskeläinen, he was a cult hero for me, and I didn't even fucking fancy Bolton for real.
Right.
But it's just awesome. I'd love to go see a game there.
Yeah, and again, I'm rooting for them to get back up to the championship. Are they probably a Premier League club? Probably not.
Not anymore. Yeah,
But-
I think that ship has sailed.
But
really.
just they should be a comfortably right in it fucking championship
12th
side.
to 16th.
And they also a team that every once in a while wins and gets promoted and maybe has a good freshman year and has a bad sophomore year. But you're just like, it's a club you kind of want to fucking see do well, you know? And speaking of good old time clubs, this is one that makes you both happy and sad.
At the same time.
Yeah, because Pompey won 4-0. That's awesome. But they beat the O's.
I know. And Leyton Orient, famously, everybody's second team.
Everybody's second team because everybody knows them because they have open corners and like literally you just sit in the corners in people's apartments and drink beers and watch the O's play in London.
I
It's
would
kind of like
fucking love to go to a Leyton Orient game.
the O's, their stadium is kind of like the hipster stadium to go to. It's where you go and you drink. It's like going to watch cricket. We're just gonna get really drunk. What happened? Don't know. It doesn't matter.
The other thing I find strange about cricket, since you brought it up, is people go in fancy dress. They go in costumes and shit. That's so weird. Like, I would never show up at a sporting event in a fucking like Mickey Mouse outfit.
Yeah, just odd. Mel's looking at us weird.
I feel targeted. All the women that dressed like Barbies went to the movie.
That's fine, but that's a specific thing. Like, Mickey Mouse has nothing to do with fucking cricket. Is my point.
Oh, fair enough.
Like that, it's strange. It's like a weird. Any sport, also, the one thing I number one, don't understand the scoring system. That annoys me. And if you can't understand the scoring, what the fuck is the point of the sport? Right? It's one of the only sports that I really don't like watching. Because of that, because I don't know, it just happened. But then the other bit that really pisses me off about cricket is any sport that you need a break to have fucking lunch, I'm out.
Okay. Well, here's what you need
I have
to know.
time for that.
Wear a stylish sport coat and drink Pim's Cup. Who gives a shit what else fucking happens?
Well, but that's why everybody gets fucked up. It's just like, I don't even know what's happening out there.
Yeah, just drink a bunch of Pim's cocktail. It's fucking great, man.
Yeah.
It's a low ABV, man. You drink like 5 bottles of Pim's while you're out there. It's awesome.
Why is it also that the English tend to invent sports and then become like not the best at them?
Yeah, they definitely like to do that.
The Indians, the Australians, the Sri Lankans, the South Africans, all very good at cricket.
Yep.
The French, the Italians, all very good at rugby.
You know, unlike the Scotsmen who are like, you know, famously the English are a bunch of wankers, but we were colonized by a bunch of wankers. All of those who got colonized went, oh, okay, you're going to teach us your sport? Fine, fuck you. We're going to beat you. It's going to be our own little just silent fuck you. We're just going to kick your ass in the sport.
Strange.
Barnsley draw Joey Barton's Bristol Rovers 1-1.
So that caught them some flack.
Oh, yeah. I still think Barnsley's going to be right up in it and probably get an automatic promotion. And I can't say this much about the Bristol Rovers.
I'm going to go ahead and say that's worse, Mel.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
What happened?
She changed my camera on her end, but I had to give it permission, which is why I had to touch the screen.
Oh,
and then it went wide angle, so you could see the chair in the box in the corner, full view.
Not going to work. That's not going to work out very well.
I've come to the conclusion what's going on with your camera is not on my end.
I don't touch anything, though. It's really weird.
Oh, we'll have to fuck with it. It'll be fine.
This is my work computer, by the way.
Bristol, we do know that Bristol Rovers are going to be a tough out for everybody. Joey Barton
Don't worry,
coaches a
Breakroom. I'm attached to Wi-Fi.
Very good. Now let's go ahead and move on and chat about League Two. Aki unfortunately fell on the road. I said feel on the road, but I meant fell on the road to Gillingham 1-0.
It's fucking Gillingham.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Aki always had problems on the road. So
Accrington Stanley, for those of you that are new, are near and dear to our hearts because we are good friends with their groundsman.
Yep.
Actually, we've interviewed him 3 times now.
Why we like
Something
him.
like that, because he's fucking awesome and he stays in touch and he interacts with us and he's just brilliant.
Ben K's the fucking best.
Also, Accrington Stanley, famously, I refer to them as the Leyton Orient of the North. They're like the Starks.
The fellow Scotsman, I told him we follow Accrington Stanley, and he's like, Accrington Stanley, who's that? And I went, exactly. And he looked right at me and started nodding his head. He was like, You knew the commercial. I'm like, if you know Accrington Stanley, we learned from Ben, you need to know that fucking commercial.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
But, I mean, losing to Gillingham is piss poor, to be honest. Gillingham are not high on my list. Pretty much the reason I really don't have anything against Gillingham except for a fictional football club podcast that I'd listened to that is now over. Their 5 seasons have ended. The Offensive. Which was just an awesome, very funny fucking show. Absolutely not safe for work. I mean, curse every 2 seconds in that show. But it's a fictional football club called Ashwood City, and they were in Kent, and them and Gillingham was their rival. And because I have an affinity for the show, I'm like, fuck Gillingham. In real life, fuck Gillingham.
That you decide you hate them.
Yeah.
Wrexham give up a late penalty to draw Wimbledon 1-1.
It's fine. Off the mark. They got a point.
And Wimbledon's one of the teams that recently came down from League One. So.
Yes. Now, Wimbledon are in kind of weird financial straits because they're still paying off the bonds that they had to sell their fans to finance their recent stadium rebuild at Plough Lane. So you would like to think that Wrexham, with the momentum surrounding the club, but it is after losing, is it Paul Mullins in it?
Yeah.
Up front, that is difficult for them to cope with at this stage.
Right.
And they don't have, despite the success of the show and everything else, they don't have a shit ton of money. They've kind of blown their load.
They're only allowed to
FFP.
spend so much. FFP is still, it's on every level.
Absolutely. And they can't really do, they've already spent a little bit beyond their means, and they haven't really been able to super recruit this summer.
Right.
To deal with these. So they're going to have some of these kind of plucky results that you're not super happy with. Ultimately, I think they'll stay in the league. Yeah. I think they've got enough quality about them, and when he returns, they'll have goals about them as well, because by all accounts, I'm not super familiar with the player, other than by all accounts, he is a proper League One to bad championship striker.
Yeah.
That will bag you goals at this level.
Yeah. Gonna bag you goals.
Yeah. So hopefully, and I mean, he, I think, broke records for the conference.
He did. So, now, moving on, Forest Green get their first win, 1-0 over Harrogate, which is good to see, considering that they just got demoted and they're also in some financial troubles as well.
That's what happens when a vegan club has to start buying meat again, because Big Dunk was around.
And
he just wasn't having that either.
The last one.
I need you to find me a heifer. All right. I'm not eating the fucking grass.
Yeah, that's just how it's going to work. And again, what do you call Duncan Ferguson?
What?
Sir. That is his name.
Yeah.
What do you say to that man? Sir.
Or he goes after you with a bat.
Yeah, exactly. Your bat. He takes your bat from you and beats you with it. Finally, Tranmere lost their second straight match to MK Dons, and MK Dons are currently top of the table of League Two.
Yeah,
not surprising. They're one of the teams that came down from League One.
Yeah, but there's not a huge amount of investment in the club. They're very much a selling club, MK Dons. So it doesn't surprise me that they found themselves in this position where they got relegated. But, I mean, really, that's the best way to hold on to players, is to get relegated, honestly, because, well, that lot aren't very good. We don't want to buy them. Yeah, it's very much, I think, MK Dons will come back up, but I think they'll find it very difficult again next year, because they're not a team that, they rely very heavily on their academy, and they don't really recruit players particularly well that I've ever seen.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
but
if they have anyone
Tranmere,
good, normally they get sold on.
Yeah, that sucks for Tranmere, though. It's not a great start to the season, and you start to worry about the only club in Liverpool.
Thank you. Now, I think it's worth mentioning, since this is more of a league show, let's talk about the League Cup here. Is a great place, especially because
I thought you wanted to talk about the Johnson's Paint Trophy.
Yeah, exactly. We could talk about that too, which is all the lower leagues.
Good luck fucking Googling those results, by the way.
That
is a pain in the fucking ass on the American internet to find.
I will look up that trophy, that tournament, when it gets down to the quarterfinals. That's when I'll talk about it. That's fucking it.
That'll be in like March.
Yeah,
because that's another one that has like 6 million participants.
Jesus. Notable advancers in the League Cup: Wrexham, Leeds, Bolton, Wednesday, and Reading all advanced. Surprising exits include Millwall and Sunderland from the championship.
Well, hopefully that'll kind of.
And Millwall's 2-0 in the league. They're doing fine. Just that one.
This is where we say stuff like a good cup run can breed confidence.
Sorry, 1-1.
Breed confidence in the team and do all that kind of stuff, right? Sunderland, who have now lost 2 in a row in the championship, and then find themselves out at this early stage. It's just piling more shit onto their confidence. Where
Suddenly
like,
those players listen to that coach just a little bit less. Yep. That is
things start to go very wrong. Now Millwall, I mean, fuck you, I'm Millwall. They'll recover.
Yeah,
they'll be fine.
They'll be fine. They'll be just fine.
Their kind of championship rise over the last couple of seasons into a potential promotion candidate via the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs, but they finished the last 2 seasons better than they did the season prior.
And a couple notable League One sides that went out, Derby County and Barnsley both went out as well.
Right, but what I was going to say was Millwall. Remember, that was all amid the quarterfinal FA Cup appearance. That run that kind of galvanized that squad.
Yeah, exactly.
Derby's been a shit show until
I don't see Derby getting up to the championship anytime soon.
Until Wayne Rooney came in and kind of fixed them.
And while he fixed them, there was no money to pay anybody.
Well, right, which further implicated them in all their problems, but gave them essentially the point deduction that relegated them. So, and I haven't heard much of if the ownership has changed, or I haven't heard a lot out of that camp at all, really.
Yeah. Now I want to go ahead and just mention the marquee matchups for the next round, because this is where the Premier League, everybody who's not playing in Europe, so the 13 sides that aren't playing in Europe, so you two do not have matches yet.
Correct.
But we will have one. That now happens. And a few that are worth mentioning, Bolton will be hosting Middlesbrough. You have to imagine Bolton's going to win, because essentially that is what would be like 48th place versus 49th place.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the best team from one league and the worst team from the other.
If you did the full footballing pyramid
So it's not an upset if Bolton wins.
A straight 1 to 92 is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, a couple of ones worth mentioning as far as Premier League sides. Forest is going to be hosting Burnley, and Fulham will be hosting Spurs.
That's going to be a very interesting game, honestly, Forest and Burnley, because of the way Burnley play, but the cauldron that is the City Ground. It's going to be a really interesting to see how Forest cope with Burnley's football, but how Burnley responds to an absolute fucking atmosphere.
Now, another one, the rest
Fulham
of these
Spurs, I don't give a fuck about.
Yeah. Well, the rest of these are all Premier League sides. Palace has to go to Plymouth, and Plymouth is recently
flying right now,
and recently promoted to the championship, and that'll be a lot of fun. And if Palace has trouble scoring, Plymouth might get one on them.
Owls are birds of prey. Now, Plymouth Argyle's crest has a boat on it.
Yeah.
They are on the South Coast, but what I would ask, because they're a South Coast club, I am going to just, do owls eat fish, shrimp, or seagulls?
I don't know.
Because if so, Plymouth Argyle could be in a bit of bother. Roy the Boy goes down there hungry.
Yeah, the wise old owl.
Oh, yeah.
Normally they go after like field mice and stuff like that. It's kind of what owls do. They tend to be in the forest.
So they may be safe.
Very good. And then the other two notables, Everton go to League One Doncaster.
I cannot wait until you all get knocked out of the League Cup.
And then League One Wimbledon head to a place that hasn't hosted a second round League Cup game in a very, very long time. Yep. Stamford Bridge, because Chelsea was not one of the teams that made Europe. So they have an early extra game.
I can't wait for Chelsea to be knocked out of the League Cup. I'm very excited. I'd love to see Wimbledon go through.
I'll be honest.
That'd be awesome.
On the Everton side of things, I think this is one of those ones where Everton, Dyche will fucking put out a fairly attacking, like, go at him squad. Because, I mean, we'll talk about an injury time. Everton never wins at Villa Park, so Everton's going to be 0-2 very quickly.
Yeah.
And I think they'll need that League Cup in 2 weeks. They'll need that game very, very badly.
The other thing I would say about Chelsea Wimbledon is I think Pochettino, seriously, not joking around, will look at the League Cup and go, this is a very real chance for me to grab my first trophy in English football.
So I'm gonna fucking have a go.
Let's have the kids get used to winning something, and then we can have a proper go with the league next season.
Right. Fair enough.
You know what I mean? I think they'll be formidable, but I think they'll be off the pace. I think Arsenal and City are well and truly above the rest. So I think Chelsea will look at this tournament and go, I think we can have gain some experience for the kids, get a winning mentality, have this sort of, kind of good feeling around the club, guarantees them to get back into Europe so it doesn't matter where they finish.
Right.
And then next season have a proper go at all right, we're going to fucking take the league here, and try to get after it.
Fair. Appreciate that. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up, Mr. Graham. Any parting words?
Not really. No, I think everything's good. There's life outside the Premier League. Everybody remember that. And it's usually a pretty fun fucking watch. There's a lot of things that aren't allowed to happen at Premier League grounds. That because of security's tighter, because everything else is going on, sometimes you can't even get to the fucking stadium. Yeah. So the football league is an excellent, fun, grassroots, amazing thing, and just enjoy it because what I love and everybody says this because nobody else's league system is like this. From top to fucking bottom, from top to below the bottom to non-league, these clubs are well supported, well cared about. And fucking make national news from time to time, and it's fucking delightful because
it's already been fun doing.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
Perfect. All right,
and it's a lot of familiar faces. It's like a high school reunion because obviously we have the longest running times in the Premier League. Right. We've never really had to deal with this, and so but all these old friends that have gone away that we haven't been able to talk about.
Oh yeah.
It's nice to be able to step down and go, I fucking remember Pompey.
I've already loved talking Bolton.
Bolton, yeah, 100%. It's great. Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. And if you've got nothing on or it's a shit game in the Premier League on the weekend, give ESPN $6 to watch ads and the championship.
Yeah. Well, again, anybody who's got a team that they support in any one of the lower tier of the English professional system, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear a little bit about your club. And as the season goes on, we're going to talk a little bit about these clubs, of how we used to do like on the FA Cup with some of these clubs. We're going to talk about them a little bit and learn a little bit about all of these different clubs. And, we'll start to keep a little more closer eye on who's scoring goals and who's doing what, who might move and things of that nature. But it's already been a lot of fun to do. And until next week, everybody.
Good night.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston. Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Stump of a lord. Look straight in shorts. Sam Graham, hey.
Sam Graham.
Don't you know?